Welcome to Front Row. My name is Mauro DePasquale. Front Row is a WCCA TV production, and we're glad you're joining us today. We have a very special treat. The music theater community is celebrating Grace Leslie's 90th birthday next month, and she's been on stage, a musical theater performer her entire life. Although now 89.9, she is still able to act and memorize 45 pages of dialogue. I can't even remember one line of dialogue. I have a teleprompter in front of me. The pages of dialogue are for her current role in a two-person, two-act play. The play is Souvenir, a Fantasia of the life of Florence Foster Jenkins by Stephen Temperley, in which Grace plays Miss Foster Jenkins. Meryl Streep played the role in the feature film. Grace's son, John, he's also a fabulous pianist. He plays her accompanist, Cosme McMoon. The play is a production of John Leslie's West Boylston JEMS Theatre, JEMS Theatre. And the approval has been given to do performances at Calliope Theatre in Boylston, where Grace has done many of her other plays and musicals. The play is being performed on Labor Day weekend. There are performances at 7 p.m. on Friday, August 31st, and 2 o'clock on Saturday, September 1st. There's no performance on Sunday, and then the performance at 7 p.m. on Monday, September 3rd. All admission is $15. It's a great treat. And then she's going to take the show on the road, and we're going to talk to Grace right now. Let's meet her. Grace Leslie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to talk with you and to meet you.
I've
known your son since college.
Yes, yes.
And so it's
He's quite a character.
I see where he gets it, though. So you've been in Worcester for only 7 years?
Oh my goodness, no.
How many years you been in Worcester?
Oh, well, quite a while. In 1965, before that, really.
Really?
In and out of Worcester.
In and out.
We lived in Worcester.
Where'd you live before that?
In Glenridge, New Jersey.
In New Jersey?
And Morristown, New Jersey, and Whippany, New Jersey. And
okay. So you came, what brought you, and your husband's name was Ernie, right?
Right.
What brought you and Ernie to Worcester?
He worked at Norton Company.
Okay.
Started out at Stylon in Milford, which is no longer in existence, then worked for Norton Company.
So did you guys settle up that way, Burncoat area?
Yes, we did.
You did, right?
Actually.
Yeah, a lot of people.
We really were.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in local community theater, especially Worcester community? I understand you were in the Worcester County Light Opera as well.
Yes. I had a friend who said, oh, why don't you come with me and try Worcester County Light Opera? So I did. I think she had sung in choir with me or something like that, and she thought maybe I would enjoy it, and oh boy, did I ever.
Yeah?
Years.
What do you like most about it?
About Worcester County Light Opera?
Yeah. What do you know about performing? And
oh, the people and the music, you know. I've done straight plays, but I prefer musicals.
Yeah.
Because the music, there's a line in the show, it really gets to me. You know, it's really important to me. And Florence Foster Jenkins, too. You know, the music was everything in her life. And she heard herself singing, and what she heard in her head was beautiful. But when she produced it, it wasn't so beautiful.
Right, right.
So she wound up with the audiences laughing at her and making fun of her and everything.
Yeah.
Which when she finally heard the audience, she was so completely devastated when she said Ave Maria at the end of her concert at Carnegie Hall, and everybody laughed at her. She said, my beloved Ave Maria, why did they laugh at that? You know, but she was all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. There are people like that today. I won't get into it. But yeah, you know, you do hear that sometimes. Sometimes my mother used to tell me it was tenacity. Some people just kept going.
That's right.
And sometimes they weren't that great. But you know, what mattered, what was inside of you too. There's that aspect of it. If you're enjoying it, if you're happy, right?
What she says, you hit a line. What's really important is the music you hear in your head.
Right, right, right.
You know?
Yeah, and that's lifting your soul.
That's right.
And maybe someone else's as well. Now, I understand you also were a teacher.
Yes.
What did you teach?
Phys ed.
Phys ed, really? So therefore, the dancing and the musicals and all that, it all kind of went together, right? How many years did you teach phys ed?
20.
20 years. Where, was that in the Worcester schools?
No, that was in West Boylston.
That was in West Boylston?
Yeah. No, I brought up most of my family before I went back to work. Then I taught there for 20 years. And then I actually taught preschool at the Greendale Y for 20 years.
Oh, you did? Wow. And you're still are you still doing some teaching with seniors?
I teach an exercise class at the senior center.
So you keep in great shape?
Yeah.
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 That's important, right?
Moving rocks, lifting plants.
Yeah.
Getting muddy.
Yeah. That's a good thing, right? It's
It
always
is
a good thing?
It is a good thing.
So where are you moving the rocks? Is that at home? You got a
Do
garden?
you know that Massachusetts, every time you dig in the ground, you get a rock?
Well, I know that from my own experience.
They grow faster than the grass does. They just seem to keep
grow,
coming.
right?
Yeah. The ground.
Well, the warm weather dries up the land, so then you just have rocks left.
But
right?
somebody said to me, that's where we get all our beautiful rock walls. But you
Maybe.
ride out the turnpike to Springfield, and these beautiful cliffs
Yeah.
of rock.
Well, yeah.
It's gorgeous.
If we're not sitting on swamp, we're sitting on rock, right? So, one or the other, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your family. You mentioned you had a son. I think we were on camera when you mentioned that, but you mentioned you had a son that's a dancer. We know John's a pianist.
Okay.
How many kids you have?
I had 6.
6 kids.
Yes. My oldest son died.
Okay. Sorry.
My daughter is a retired minister.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes John, who you know, who is a fabulous musician and everything else.
The best, yeah.
And a really great guy. He actually lives with me and keeps me sane.
Yeah.
Then I have a son, Bruce, who he had a theater group in Worcester at one time, and he's moved various places. He worked for the Leeds Performing Arts Center in the University of Nebraska, and he's done quite a few, but now he's living in Florida, and I forget what his title is, but he is something in the arts community in Miami. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's Glenn, who is the dancer. He danced with Jump Rhythm Jazz Project, and which was in Massachusetts, in New England. Then it moved to Chicago, and he was with them, and he's been dancing in Chicago for 20 years. He of course has another job, which you always have to do. You can do your theater work all you want, but you still have to make a living.
Yeah.
And then David has done many shows out in the Springfield area. He's my youngest.
Yeah. So there must have been a lot of music in your household all the time. Now, was your husband Ernie? Is he still around? Is he deceased?
No. He's been deceased for a
So
long time.
was he musical too?
No.
So all the music came from you.
It came from my aunt years and years ago. No, Ernie couldn't carry a tune in a bucket.
Yeah. So
He used to sing in church just to make everybody else go off.
Yeah, just to knock them all off. Either that or make them all sound good. So what was life like with the music? I mean, were the kids constantly playing music around you?
Good
Did they
heavens,
start
no.
Did they start young, or
No.
when did you find that they were all going to be?
Well, John was the first one. One of my good things in life was to give him piano lessons with an excellent piano teacher,
Who was his
Clara
first?
Chaffee.
Oh, okay.
She was wonderful.
That wasn't around. Was that around
was
here?
in Worcester. Yeah.
He's a fabulous reader, John. He could
Yes.
put any piece of music in front of him, he'll read it.
It's
I
a
was
blessing.
always amazed, and that
Not
was when
only
I knew when he
that,
was young. Now he's old.
But I'll tell you, I'll tell you a little secret.
He's sitting over there. So
Florence Foster Jenkins is supposed to be this wonderful soprano singer, and I am not a soprano. So we were rehearsing some of the music, and I said, John, the piano must have dropped. I can actually hit the notes. And he said, I just transposed it down. So here I was supposed to be hitting an F and a high C and all this facility.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I can do it.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have that key change. See, I'm a pianist too, but I have to sometimes have to rely on those little, the electronic pianos have a little button you can press. You can move it
is that how
one
you
key
do it?
to the next key to the next key, so I don't have to worry about it so much. So I'll do that sheet.
Do organs have that too?
Some
that
of them,
quality?
some of the electric ones today do. Yeah, not always, but
Because John is an organist also.
yeah. Well, I suppose if they put the air organs, the pump ones, you can lower the air volume and then the pump goes down, right?
Did you ever know one of those pump organs? The kind of coach.
No, no. I used to have a pump piano, though, that played the rollers.
Yeah, right.
And that was always fun.
My girlfriend's family had a farm in New York State, and we used to go to the church out there, and there was the pump organ, and the woman would be sitting up there pumping away.
Let's talk about a little bit about your theater highlights, your first roles in New Jersey.
Well, I belonged to the Studio Players of Essex County, New Jersey. It was in Montclair. They had a director from New York.
Yeah.
People in the community brought this woman in. They gave her a house to live in, and she directed really fabulous shows. And she started a junior productions company, and that's where I really got my first start.
How old were you then?
15, 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we used to go up there and do a lot of shows. Some of my best shows and my favorite shows, which I can still remember lines from way back. And then I went to Douglas College, which is the women's division of Rutgers in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And they had Queen's Players, which was a theater group in Rutgers. And I did the Hasty Heart there, which was all servicemen in a hospital ward, and I was the nurse in the ward. So that was another step, and a big step for me.
Yeah, yeah. So you really caught that bug, and you just...
Yes, I did.
You really enjoyed it, right?
I really did.
And was it just the people that you enjoyed, or was it the challenge, or, putting yourself into another character?
A lot of it, to start with, was the people. They were my friends that were out there. We had really good friendship.
Yeah.
And we did the plays, and then for some reason, I got an award for Best Actress, and it just seemed to click, you know. And when my young family was growing up, I didn't do too much until I started with Light Opera Club, and then we got with the Worcester Firefighters and all sorts of different theater groups that Foothills, a lot of the theater groups that were in, as I said, Entractors was the big theater group right at the one time.
No, what group did you perform for Princess Grace?
Entractors.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, there was a one-act play competition, and we presented a one-act play. We presented it, I think it was at Brandeis, and then we won, and we went to New Hampshire or someplace like that, I don't know, presented it there, and won the theater competition for the whole country, because they had adjudicators from the country that came to see all these plays. And then, after we won, we were invited to present the play in Monaco.
Nice, yeah.
At the Monte Carlo Opera House, and our trip was paid. It was a fabulous. And then, actually, at the time, I was pregnant with my youngest.
Yeah, really,
but we were all crazy. We were all crazy ladies, and here I am with a smock on, and I said, some guy did me wrong,
Perfect for the part.
I'm sorry, this isn't a thing to be saying on television, is it?
That's okay. It's public access television. We can say whatever we want. Free speech. Did you get to meet Princess Grace?
Oh, yes.
Really? Yeah.
Yes. They had a reception afterwards.
Yeah.
In Monaco. Unfortunately. What an unfortunate thing that she died.
Yeah, right. She was so beautiful, too. So now, you worked with the Worcester Children's Theater, and what was that like, and what period, when did that end? Did you stop doing, are you still doing it?
I don't think it's still
it's
in
not.
opera. No. I did the story of Mother Goose.
Yeah. You like working with kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like?
Well, up to a point.
Okay.
You know what is really almost too bad now? There are so many restrictions when you work with kids. You have one child chasing another child with a truck going to hit him over the head, and you can't say, stop, don't, no. You have to say, we don't use trucks like that.
Right.
They go along the floor.
Yeah,
So,
it makes it, you
it's
have to
hard,
stop, you can't be.
And kids are wonderful. They're really wonderful.
Yeah.
But they,
you know what, so I had that same problem too. I brought up seven kids myself. So,
you did too.
Yeah, so I couldn't beat around the bush. Plus I'm just old school Italian, so I didn't have that to explain. I didn't have time.
I remember when my oldest son used to run after my daughter and pull her legs out from under her to make her fall on the floor, type of thing.
Yeah, they'll do all kinds of stuff like that. Favorite roles and favorite auditoriums?
Oh my gosh. The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Oh,
Is that Worcester Auditorium, John?
Worcester?
Clark University.
Clark University.
Clark University?
Yeah, we've done we've done Atwood Hall, Worcester Auditorium. What are some of the others?
Now, was that with Calliope?
No.
Well, okay.
Was the Unsinkable with the firefighters?
Light opera.
Light opera. And what was
Okay.
what was the one with firefighters? Do you remember?
Name, Hello Dolly.
Mame, Hello Dolly.
Yeah. So those are your favorite?
Yeah.
What about those particular roles, that you enjoy most, that make them your favorite?
I love the freedom of the people. I mean,
Yeah.
Mame she was herself. She was able to do what she wanted to do. And Dolly was the same. She was a person, a real person that was enthusiastic and could do what she wanted to do. Molly Brown, I ain't down yet, that type of thing. They're women that go places because they have the drive to go places.
So you really relate with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the music itself? Do you find, is there anything in particular about music itself, in the singing and in the selections that you do?
Well, when I went out to see Glenn perform his dance thing, he asked me to do a number, and I did a combination of 2 numbers from Mame, because they're so, light the candles, get the ice out, roll the rug up. It's today.
Yeah,
Though it
in the
may
moment.
not be anyone's birthday, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I have the feeling that time has halted. I'd love 2 straws and a chocolate mouthful, because that's how young I feel. How exciting is it to be able to feel young?
Yeah.
And do the Charleston and things like that.
Right.
And Molly Brown was crawling all over the ground, and I'm queen of the.
Yeah. Do your treatments or the way you relate to the music and the way you express the music, do you think it's changed for you over the years? Do you feel differently about it as you get older compared? Would you
No.
do it the same way? Would you have done it the same way if you were in your 20s, if you do it now? compared
Yes,
to now?
because the music, it's enthusiastic. And
Yeah.
I like to be enthusiastic. Even with Florence Foster Jenkins, she can't sing, but she's enthusiastic about singing.
Yeah.
She just loves it. It's a part of her. She just has to let all this exuberance out, and it's
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
yeah.
How about the audience reaction? Now, I know in that particular play, there's a lot of people that just are too afraid to say anything to Florence. They're afraid to let her know how
bad she is.
is, right? But is the audience, do they make any difference to you at all? Do you?
Well, I hope they laugh at her.
Yeah. No, when you perform, does it matter what the audience reaction is, or is it more about what you are feeling and expressing?
Well, I did Gypsy, and one of the most fun parts about doing Gypsy was coming down the aisle. I don't know whether that was Atwood Hall or one of the plays, coming down the center aisle. Sing out, Louise, type of thing. And
Right.
and then you hear, the audience reaction, but I don't usually listen to the audience
Yeah.
reaction that much.
So does it have an energy that helps ignite your performance at all?
I know. I think I'm
Really?
more in the character.
In the character, in the moment, on
you're
the
right,
stage.
yeah.
That's your world. That's the universe.
Right,
Everything else is
It really is.
like right now. There are people watching. Right now, you and I are here.
Well, yes, and I would hate to see this myself, because
Right.
I'm just going on. No, I really feel the character and relating with the people on stage.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're doing a comedy, like
Yeah.
a play,
Right.
and the audience doesn't laugh when
Right.
you think they're going to do
Yeah.
it, it's rather devastating. You think, oh, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. Did you ever have to sing, or perform along with someone who's not in that moment? They're all in it for themselves. You could tell, when they feel like, I just nailed it and everybody knows it. You know, did you have you ever had that experience with people when they're singing and you know they're not in the moment as much
Well,
as you?
sometimes
Does
you
it
can see
affect
a
you?
twinkle in the eye or something
Yeah.
like that, and you feel for them too.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
you're glad for them.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
you're glad that they
Yeah.
nailed it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So you break character, or there's a character.
We did.
recognition.
I hate to say this, but a very ridiculous little play called Bull in a China Shop. And I was so thrilled with the way the audience reaction to some of the people that were on stage with me. I was more, well, like I was in some of the other plays, I was the teacher type of person.
Yeah.
I was the straight thing. But they were acting so goofy. The audience was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was so thrilled about it, but I thought,
You have to keep it together.
I have to keep
Yeah.
these old ladies have to be kept in line, you know, type of thing. So, but it is fun to have people have fun,
Yeah.
you know, on stage and have the audience laugh at them.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm really enjoying this conversation, but we are running out
I know.
of time. The shows performed you've done many shows with Calliope,
Yes, I have.
right? And John's the director. You're the director of Calliope, right, John? John's off camera, and that's her son. But he's glad you're here.
And he's the mainstay of the
Yeah,
show. I
that's
mean,
right.
he plays
Yeah.
all the songs.
And Calliope is having you perform.
They're letting us perform.
They're letting you
They're
perform.
not- yes.
Yeah, I didn't. Souvenir, right?
Yes.
And did you want to talk about that a little bit before we sign off?
Well, because it's going to be for my birthday celebration, all my family is coming home.
Yeah,
So we ought to have a pretty full house.
yeah,
John starts out in the club, in a nightclub, so that there's one area that is the pit, which is raised, where he's going to be playing.
Yeah.
And he plays a lot of the great songs. It's 2:45, there's no one in the place
yeah.
except you and me. And then he comes on stage and he tells the story of her, you
Yeah.
know, and but then he goes back to the club different times, and it's really, we haven't been able to work on the stage because they've been doing their children's
Right,
theater shows
right.
and
So right
everything.
now-
So it will be an exciting experience to finally get on the
Yeah.
stage. Not going to be much of a set, grand piano on the stage,
Right.
two chairs and a table.
yeah. And we said the dates at the top of the show, but the date's Friday, August 31st at 7 p.m., Saturday, September 1st at 2 p.m., and then Monday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. And on Sunday, there's no performance. And then I understand you're going to take the show to California?
Yes.
That ought to be exciting.
My brother lives in California.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
And he's 93 now. And my niece and nephew, her husband, will welcome us to their house.
Yeah.
And I don't know, John's making the arrangements. I don't know where.
Well, that's lovely.
I think at a church he used to
Yeah.
be organist at, they have a fellowship hall, and we're going to be doing
Yeah.
it there.
So your siblings are musical? Are they?
Andy tried playing the violin for a while,
Okay.
but that was it.
So you're the big musical protege.
He was director of research for IBM. He
Oh.
didn't have trouble. He didn't have much time for music.
Yeah. Well, today
Started
IBM
in New York State
Yeah,
and then was transferred to California.
Yeah, good company though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Grace, it's been such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
And
Wish me
enjoy
luck.
this.
Break a leg.
Break a leg. Break a leg. There's another one too about a broken nail, right? A bent nail. Did you find a bent nail? John, thanks for making this possible. I want to thank Grace for joining us today here on Front Row. Until next time, I'm Mauro DePasquale. I look forward to seeing you on WCCA TV, the People's Channel. Check out this wonderful, wonderful musical.